I had planned to begin today's show and talk about James Harrison's defiance towards management and towards the league, Roger Goodell, the commissioner, and all of that. And it was going to be a great discussion about unions and players' rights and labor versus management and all of that stuff. And I think a lot of that still applies, but it has now come out that James Harrison is going to comply with management's demands, and he will be submitting himself to an investigation, to speaking to the investigators, the league investigators, about the allegations that he was using performance-enhancing drugs. I do not believe that James Harrison was using performance-enhancing drugs. I'll put it out there. I really don't. But I don't necessarily agree with his approach to this whole situation. I mean, I don't really agree with the league's approach to this situation as well. Everybody's kind of taking the wrong approach at this. I mean, the league is basing this investigation on literally a faulty Al Jazeera article. It's bad journalism. The league is basing their investigation on bad journalism. However, they are management. James Harrison is an employee. James Harrison needs to comply with management's directive. I'm glad to see that he has made that choice. And you hear all sorts of whiny things about how it not being fair. Oh, it's not fair. Well, life's not fair, and you just have to deal with it. He's an employee. Is it worth losing all of the money that he could lose in a suspension for not cooperating? And it's my understanding that the type of suspension that he would receive for not cooperating would be indefinite. He would have to appeal to Roger Goodell, who already doesn't like him. I think this investigation is evident of that. And if he didn't like him already, James Harrison referred to Roger Goodell as a crook. So if he didn't like him already, he definitely doesn't like him now. You're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network. I'm Brian Crawford, the most interesting man in DeBurgh, behind the microphone here in the beautiful Millville studios. And we're going to talk to Sammi Turano of Football in High Heels a little bit later in the program about this very subject. It's a really interesting blog that she has up, and it kind of comes from the perspective of somebody who's not a diehard sports fan, but somebody who's trying to learn and trying to become interested in sports, so that way she can show an interest in the sporting world to connect with her friends. And she has a journalism background. She's been on the show numerous times in the past, representing TV Grapevine, where she's interviewed outstanding, interesting people such as William Shatner. She's actually interviewed Donald Trump many of times, who's now running for president. So she's talked to some very interesting people. People, you may not like them, but they definitely have an impact on our society. So she's met some interesting people, and she's got a really interesting background in journalism. So her take on the issue, I think, will be very interesting. If you want to share your take, feel free. You can hit me up on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH, or you can hit me up on the phone line at 412-407-2PGH. That's 412-407-2PGH. We can take your calls here over the phone. Both of the interviews today were pre-recorded, so you're not going to be able to see my reaction necessarily, my video reaction, if you're watching via the Facebook Live. The River's Edge PGH.com live page. You cannot watch us on Facebook Live. Facebook Live isn't working, and I'm so frustrated with Facebook. Nothing works on Facebook. Nothing works on Facebook. Nothing. The Facebook Live isn't working today. I have, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4 Facebook apps. I have 4 Facebook apps on my phone, and not one of them works. Not one of them works. Facebook wants me to download a picture app now. Screw off, Zuckerberg. 4 is enough. 4 broken applications is enough for me. Get one of your applications to work, and then maybe I'll consider downloading yet another one of your applications. Some interesting comments on Facebook here. Will says that the source is not credible enough for Peyton Manning last year, and it shouldn't be for these guys. Leave them alone. I agree with you, Will. The report is definitely not a report worth investigating. But the league signed a collective bargaining agreement that the union agreed to. Both parties signed to this agreement. If you sign to a collective bargaining agreement, then you need to live by that agreement. You can't just throw that agreement away. Everybody wants to just skip the collective bargaining agreement. And it seems like in the NFL's case, it's always labor that's looking to renege this agreement. And I understand they got a bad deal in the CBA, but hey, they read it, they signed to it, they got to live with it now. You don't like it? When it's time to renegotiate, negotiate a better deal. Negotiate a better deal. You just can't throw away an agreement, a signed agreement. And it's a dangerous thing to do. I mentioned this before with the Brady situation, with Tom Brady. He wanted to go to the Supreme Court. He dropped that pursuit, but he wanted to go to the Supreme Court to appeal what the punishment the league had sent down to him. It's a bad decision. Why? Well, for Tom Brady, it would be a good decision. Okay, it's opening the floodgates. And say Tom Brady won, and they were able to just rip up the collective bargaining agreement and throw it away. Just throw it away. That works in the short term, right, for labor. Woo! Labor wins. Look at the long-term ramifications. What if next time management decides, hey, we're going to give everyone a pay cut, and the union comes back, oh, the collective bargaining agreement right here. Can't do that. The league takes it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, oh, well, you know what? Collective bargaining agreements, we've decided that they no longer are relevant, so do whatever the hell you want. That's the problem with throwing away a collective bargaining agreement. Yeah, it may help you in the short term, but in the long term, it could come to bite you in the ass. So, let's see. We got some more comments here on Facebook. What do we have? One of the comments that I keep getting, and I got this on my wall, is that it's a little bit different because he's a football player. He's important to his team. He doesn't have a regular job. Okay, yes, he has a job where he makes millions of dollars. Would you be willing to risk millions of dollars because you don't want to go before this investigative committee? Many jobs require random drug screening. The NFL is one of those jobs. If you're in a union, some of the union contracts require that you go for these drug screenings. Yeah, maybe you didn't do anything wrong. I remember one time as a delivery driver, somebody hit me in a gas station. They backed into me. I'm sitting here waiting to move in, and someone pulls back, boom, right into my vehicle. Guess what, kids? I had to go for a drug test. Did I do anything wrong? No, I did not. Nothing wrong. But I had to go for a drug test. Why? Because that's the insurance policy. I wasn't in a union at that time, but that's what the insurance policy demanded. I'm an employee of that company. Therefore, I had to go. I had to do it. Didn't have a say. That's the way things go. Let's see. See, what else do we have here? The NFL is unbelievably power-hungry. These guys did not fail drug tests or break any league rules. It's just some guy who made allegations and then recanted them. I hope the players strike, if necessary, to take some of the powers away from Goodell. The players aren't going to strike. Are you out of your mind, Mike? Are you out of your mind? They're going to leave that kind of money on the table? People act like either one side or the other. They either act like for some reason because they're making more money that they shouldn't be held to labor laws, and on the other side, they act like these players are going to give up all of this money for some sort of moral principle. James Harrison has decided to meet with investigators. He's already shown that money goes above principle. And to talk about striking, you're really going to put that kind of money out there? It's just not going to happen. Money talks. These guys want the money. In fact, they so want the money that's why they have such a bad CBA. They were willing to settle, to push it through, to not cancel a season. It's just, you're really going to risk that? Really? Bad, poor decision making. If you were willing to risk losing all of that money? There's something wrong in that scenario. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. We're going to bring in Mike McMullen up next. He's our political insider, our political commentarian, I guess. He will be in with some interesting information. There's obviously lots going on with Kathleen Kane. We already started to talk about that a little bit last week with Sean Logue, he's a political attorney. He was on the show once before at our live show at Hambones. So, but he was on last week. We're going to talk more about the Kathleen Kane situation, more about how, with Sean, we talked a little bit about the legality of it. Now with Mike, we're going to talk about how this could possibly affect the other statewide races here in the Commonwealth and the race for Attorney General. So that's up next. I'm Brian Crawford. You're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network. Come on, go! It's green! Come on! Go!
God damn it, Brian. You need to calm down with the road rage.
I'm sick of these people, these assholes.
The road rage, man. You got to calm down on the road rage.
Well, I want to get to where we're going. We have a lot of great stuff coming up. We're going to Falling Water.
Bicycle Heaven.
The Mattress Factory.
Tuck Knob.
Trundle Manor. All right, which way do I go? Which way do I go? Come on,
right,
come on.
Right.
Too late now.
Right, come on.
Well, too late now. I got to keep going. I'm not going to sit here like some asshole.
Oh, come on, man.
All right, you're listening to The Culture Cruise. You can find us at riversedgepgh.com.
Your local Pittsburgh area museum podcast.
Yes, riversedgepgh.com, and come take a ride with us. All right, we're here with Mike McMullen. We have so much to talk about, Mike. How are you doing?
Doing well, Brian. Just getting ready to doing the show a little bit earlier today. I got to catch an earlier flight to Oklahoma City for the weekend. So it's living on Southwest Airlines for the last month or so.
What's going on out there?
Here again, seeing the one of the Resende twins playing out at Rayo OKC. In addition, he's playing Saturday night. But in addition, I've got college soccer matches out there as well. So it's here again, everybody's like, oh, you fly everywhere. No, it's strictly business once again. So.
Oh yeah. So the world of politics. Last week we broke the news last week about Kathleen Kane. I'm interested to hear your take on that and what else we have going on in the Commonwealth, and maybe what is going to happen in the aftermath of that, and how that's going to affect races across the state.
Well, Brian, here's the thing. I mean, first of all, like anything, and I mean, no matter how heinous the crime is, whether it be Democrat, Republican, Independent, you're innocent till you're proven guilty. This past Monday, a judge and jury of her peers was, in Montgomery County, judge and jury of her peers, and, it was an outside, I mean, the charges were found in, Montgomery County.
Mm-hmm.
She's from, Lackawanna County. So, I mean, look, people knew who, honestly, you might have known who she was or her name, but look, they rendered the verdict and decision in a matter of 3 or 4 hours, and she was guilty on all seven or eight counts: perjury, obstruction of justice, all those. I mean, and the thing is, I mean, it's not one charge. I mean,
12,
charges,
I believe.
Yeah, 12, 8, 12. I lost count. But, a little sidebar, Brian. It's, the second attorney general in the history of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who was duly charged. Ernie Priate was charged in the 90s. He did federal time. And you got to understand, in Pennsylvania, there's only 2 female prisons. One's a maximum and one's a minimum. The minimum one is for for example, where State Senator Jane Orey was,
mm-hmm.
And then that's up in Crawford County, Titusville area, Oil City, Crawford, Venango County, one of the counties up there. And the other one, is a max prison. And the question is, and one of the things is she resigned on Wednesday. The acting attorney general has to get Senate confirmation, and he's a good guy. He's only going to finish out the term till the end of November. But look, another Democrat, another Republican. When does the corruption end in the Commonwealth? And honestly, we could talk about that for hours.
Oh.
But how it's going to affect going forward, there is an open, the Attorney General, the AG's race is open. You've got John Rafferty from Montgomery County State Senator, and you got Josh Shapiro, Montgomery County Commissioner, who just got elected Montgomery County Commissioner and running for Attorney General. But people are saying he wants to run for AG and governor in 2018. So we'll see. I mean, it's an open race. How this is going to affect down ballots, I don't know.
Could we see a flip? I mean, last time we saw the corruption cases in the Supreme Court with Joe Norrie Melvin and the email scandal and everything else, you saw a radical change.
Well, maybe, but here's the thing. I mean, look, Trump is, at the top of the ticket, okay, and the thing is, it's called coattails. Coattails are when someone at the top of the ticket, the presidential campaign, a governor's race, a Senate race, and will carry all the down ballot races, meaning, whether it be that state rep race, that state senator race, that city council race, a mayoral race, whatever the race may be. But the thing is, over a week ago, about 10 days ago, the Franklin Marshall poll, Franklin Marshall, done by Terry Madonna, who's one of the best pollsters, one of the most, predicting factors. I mean, he's got Clinton up 12 and
Wow.
McGinty up about 4 to 6 over Toomey. At the end of the day, is it going to be a clean, really an ass kicking, shellacking of the Democrats over Republicans? And here again, the Republicans have not won a statewide race. When it comes to Attorney General, we lost that for the first time 4 years ago. State senator race, the state treasurer race, the other general race. We're going to see what happens. And a little sidebar yesterday. The polls yesterday, Real Clear Politics has Clinton up only one has her up one only in North Carolina. And North Carolina, we need North Carolina. I mean, and the thing is, the governor's race is dead even, and the U.S. Senate race is dead even right now. I mean, and North Carolina should be a red state. And if that's any indication of what's going to happen around the country, I mean, we as Republicans, it's going to be a long election night.
Mike, I asked Sean Logue, political attorney, last 2 days ago, Wednesday. I'm going to ask you the same question. And he didn't really give me a straight answer. I want to hear how you feel. Is Pennsylvania the laughingstock of the United States right now with everything that's gone on in the last few years?
You mean corruption-wise,
Yes.
or well?
The only one I could think that beats us maybe would be New Jersey with closing down bridges to, for political retribution and stuff like that.
Well, Brian, great question. And I know Sean didn't prep me. He's been in Los Angeles on vacation and all that. But no, it's a great question. It's a good question. How can I answer that? Well, no. I mean, okay, has it been the last laughingstock the last couple of years? I mean, it's got to be up there. I mean, it has to be up there. Now, actually, as soon as I get off the phone with you, I'm going to Google it. In the sense of, look, when it comes to corruption, you've got, and this is in no order, you've got Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and I'm sure there's a couple. I'm sure you could even throw California in there because it's a huge state. But at the end of the day, I mean, you've had, going back, let's say 4 years, you've had Jay Norrie, you've had Judge Joe Norrie Melvin, you've had how many, elected officials in Philadelphia, and you had a former congressman now, in Center City, Philadelphia. Now, I believe the district attorney in Philadelphia County is being under investigation now as well. And now you have the Attorney General in Pennsylvania. So, laughingstock, it's very unfortunate. And the thing is, Brian, it's both sides of the aisle. It's Democrats and Republicans. But let's hope that we learn from this, we move on from this, and we get good people elected.
Anything else going on in the realm of the political realm that we need to worry about? I mean, obviously the Attorney General situation is the leading story, but what else is going on?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Brian, I mean, the politics are very fluid. I mean, listen to Fox News here in the airport on the way in. There's 82 days till November.
Wow.
I mean,
came up quick.
People don't realize. Well, it does go quick. And at the end of the day, there's 82 days to the general election. And most people right now, I can just look around the airport. Most people are flying out on business or they're taking their kids on vacation before school starts. I mean, people aren't thinking politics except, political geeks like me and, and people who pay attention to politics. But I mean, the bottom line is if you don't vote, don't bitch. I mean, look, you've got, it's going to be very interesting because I'd like to see all four candidates, at the debate of, you know me well enough. I've always said everybody needs to see at the table, at least major candidates. And it looks like Gary Johnson's going to be in the 3 presidential debates.
Wow.
And if Jill Stein makes a bump, which she probably won't, but I think she's going to get 2 to 4%, maybe more. And if Gary Johnson gets 5 to 10%, he's going to kill Trump. I mean, and right now, Hillary, I just saw the latest poll, national poll, she's up like 41%, and Trump's at 37%.
Mm-hmm.
Give or take. But let's face it, it's going to come down to 7 to 10 states. I mean, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, Iowa, Ohio, Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado. Those states are and Iowa. Those states are going to flip them. I mean, and is Pennsylvania going to go blue? I mean, look, I'm going to call it now. Pennsylvania's going blue. I mean, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. But look, now we haven't won it since '88. I was cautiously optimistic, but it's not happening.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mike, thank you very much. Enjoy your flight. All right, that's Mike McMullen, our political insider, political commentator here on the River's Edge Radio Network. Some more great tweets about the Harrison situation. Donna says that she thinks if James Harrison gets suspended, that the fans should suspend going to any games. She says, how about it, Green Bay fans? You on board with this? Hit the NFL where it hurts, in the pocketbook. Oh, come on, Donna. As soon as kickoff starts, the pregame party's going to bring you in. You're probably a sloppy drunk who's going to stumble her way in from the parking lot outside of Heinz Field. Let's be honest, you're not going to suspend. And even if you did suspend, I almost think even if you did decide to boycott, suspending's a bad word there. I feel like that's even worse. Because nobody really cared to boycott when Michael Vick came, or when James Harrison hit his wife, or any other multitude of reasons, any really good reason to boycott the NFL. We all just kind of turn a blind eye to that, but heaven forbid you make a millionaire spend a little bit of cash to fly for a requirement to his job. That's why we're going to boycott the NFL. Give me a freaking break, Donna. What else do we have? Oh, Ralph says, stay strong, James. You have the players' union behind you. Where's Steelers ownership? Well, Steelers ownership, they're the ones who hired Roger Goodell, so they may not be happy with the situation, but they are kind of part of who Roger Goodell is. As far as the players' union behind you, talk about the weakest union possible. Yeah, let's get the Players Association behind you. They're going to do a lot of good. Give me a break. What else do we have here? Anything else good? James has set an appropriate date that does not interfere with the team's practices or preseason games. Goodell should keep this meeting and just shut up. Well, it's really Roger Goodell's choice when and where they're going to meet. It's not James Harrison's choice, Carol, but yeah, keep sticking with that. Up next, we have an interesting story. We have a new edition of the Anti-Cyclists. If you remember the Anti-Cyclist, an old story from the old Monday night shows, we're bringing it back. That's up next here on the River's Edge.
Hi, I'm Mike Storer, host of the Awesome Cast, which you can hear right here on River's Edge Radio. We're talking tech, getting geeky every week with people from Pittsburgh in the industry. Go check us out, awesomecast.net, or listen to us right here on River's Edge Radio, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. after Funny Money.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Anti-Cycler, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. Tom Chorba, a young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, and the powerless in a world of cyclists who operate above the law. Pittsburgh, a city overcome with lawlessness, with cyclists who spit in the very signs they are bound to follow. A city with a police force who turns a blind eye to this corruption. A group of individuals who have used the political landscape to cement their ironclad grip on the roads of the land, leaving helpless, innocent automobile drivers to live in fear and frustration. Tom Chorba, born of a cycling clan, felt compassion for the oppressed. It began to work in the shadows as the anti-cycler, the cyclist who serves as the exception, who proves the rule. He justly pauses at all stop signs, righteously rears to a halt at all red lights. A man so moral, he serves as a shining light in a river of refuse. These are his stories. Dun dun. Our hero is enjoying a latte, leaning against the wall of a building along Liberty Avenue. Humidity hung in the air. It was almost suffocating. Almost too hot for a latte, but Mr. Chorba, he couldn't resist. Everything seemed so peaceful. Peaceful enough for a Sunday morning. People were moving back and forth on their way to church or to visit family or some other Sunday afternoon activity. Tom should have liked it, but he didn't. Nothing was ever perfect in this city. Nothing ever went according to plan. And in that moment of caution, the fates proved him right. And to his utter dismay, he saw a bicycler of Pittsburgh splitting a lane between two stopped cars, two cars halted at a red light, waiting patiently. The cyclist took it upon himself to circumvent the traffic law, and, as if not to undo an already grievous offense, the prude peddler pounded his fist on the hood of one of the cars as he passed to keep his balance while shuffling between cars. Tom could not sit idly by. He jumped onto his computerized bike named Kit, and he went off to work. Went off to work as the anti-cyclist. "Go cycling bouncer, Kit!" Tom shouted at the bicycle. "Bouncer activated," Kit responded through his robotic voice, and a rubbery object filled up under the bike and propelled Tom and Kit high into the sky and down onto the suspect. "Your sadistic splitting ways are over, fiend," he explained, and he cuffed the man and notified authorities. Knowing that the city was a better, safer, and fairer place, our hero slept easy that night. Weeks later, Tom went out to his mailbox to collect the mail, and he ruffled through some letters, and he found a letter from the mayor's office. He opened it up, and he read the letter. It was horrifying. The letter stated that the city had filed a grievance against the anti-cyclist, claiming that he was taking another cyclist's job policing Liberty Avenue, and that the other cyclist had laid claim to the territory. The city had filed a grievance against Tom. They didn't throw him in jail because Tom was a member, as required by law, of the BOP, the Bicyclers of Pittsburgh Union Local 412. The city claimed to have gotten the tip from a drunk beggar who was down the street, bloated and covered with crumbs, holding a half-eaten Permanis sandwich. The letter claimed that's all the evidence that the city needed. That's what the letter said. That's all this evidence that the city needed to start an investigation. Tom was distressed. He went to the union office. He told them what had happened, and basically the union said that he should refuse to attend the meeting. Tom then said, "Well, what happens if I refuse?" And the union said, "Well, we'll fight it, but if we lose, you could serve some time behind bars. Or you could be suspended from your job. They have the right to suspend you. They can go to your employer and they could suspend you right away. Well, that didn't seem like something really Tom was interested in dealing with. He didn't want to be suspended from his job. He couldn't deal with the loss of wages, so he was a little skeptical. The union said, "Don't worry about it. We want you to fight for this. Rights of all cyclists." And Tom thought that was a little strange, because why was the union pushing Tom into something that could get Tom into financial trouble or legal trouble, possibly behind bars? That's exactly what the city wants. As you know, if you've been following with former cyclist, anti-cyclist stories, the city has always been against Tom Chorba, against the anti-cyclists, because of the big bike lobby pushing for extreme cyclist legislation and pushing a police force to turn a blind eye to troublesome cycling deeds. So Tom went to the meeting, and of course they gave him the runaround, but the evidence just did not hold up. Basically, the moral of the story was, because Tom had nothing to hide, he went to the meeting. He was able to prove his innocence. Up next, we're going to talk more about the unions with Sammi Turano of Football in High Heels. Really awesome lady. If you haven't had a chance to read up on her stuff, definitely do so at footballinhighheels.com, or you can check out TV Grapevine as well. She does some stuff there as well. Really great person. So we're looking forward to having her on next. You're listening to the Rivers Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. Welcome back. My current guest over the phone, Sammi Turano of Football in Heels. We've had Sammi on before on the program, if you're a longtime listener. She's also with TV Grapevine, so this is her sports enterprise, Football in Heels. So tell me a little bit about what you do before I ask you the grilling question about the union fight between James Harrison and the NFL.
Okay, so basically Football in High Heels is a cross between an entertainment sports website and a for dummies site. Basically, I try to understand sports, and it started because one of my friends was making fun of me for not knowing anything about football, and basically teased me, like, "You should write a blog about it." And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it just to make you mad. And I did write a blog about it, and it really took off and worked out for me. And I'm having a blast with it. We have a YouTube show called Football in High Heels Presents, and basically it's turned into an enterprise, like you said.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I think it's kind of unique because you're approaching it as somebody who's kind of new to the game. So I think it's an interesting perspective. And I think it's a perspective that's not like the sports person. You know what I mean? People get obsessed with sports to the degree where, and James Harrison is a good example, where can he throw the ball, or, can he make a tackle? And that's all that people really care about. Whereas somebody with an outside perspective, maybe their horizons are a little bit more broader, if that makes sense.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
So my question is the James Harrison situation, for those of you, everybody knows we're in Pittsburgh. The union contract. He's bound to the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. People are saying, and it has come out now that he has agreed to meet with NFL investigators, and they've set a date, and he's kind of acquiesced. Now, in that same spirit, he also called Roger Goodell a crook, so he's still kind of digging that grave. But what do you think he should have done? Do you think he should have from the beginning decided to meet with investigators, or was he right to kind of stand packed and try to fight the big business and fight on the side of labor? What are your thoughts?
I think we should have met with him in the first place. In any other job in the world, you would have had to do it. Otherwise, you would have been fired. I know my job, I have to, if I'm told to do something, I have to do it. Otherwise, I lose my job. So he should have just done it in the first place, and then there would have been no controversy. There would have been no problems whatsoever. So I think he was causing himself more problems by not just doing what he was told in the first place.
Does he look guilty to you, trying to evade the group? He does?
I think so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know him personally. I don't know what he's like, but I think that if he had nothing to hide, he would have had no problem just going, doing what he was told. I'm not saying he's guilty. I'm just saying he's making himself look guilty by not just cooperating in the first place.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear your perspective on that because I don't think he is guilty. I don't think he did take performance-enhancing drugs. However, I agree with you from an outsider's perspective. I imagine it does look like he's guilty. Why else wouldn't you do it? And it blows my mind because, as you know, I used to be a delivery driver, and you know, if I was told to go take a drug test, I had to go take a drug test. That's just the way it was. And as somebody who is in a labor union myself, yes, there are things that management can't do. It's dictated by the collective bargaining agreement, which his union signed, so they are the ones who put themselves in this situation. But if management told you to do something that you did not agree with, at least in my union, you still have to do it, and then you can grieve that later. So I don't understand where he feels that he could just kind of do whatever he wants, tell them that they're going to meet him in a place of his choosing at a time of his choosing. It just seems so warped. He's the employee and not the other way around.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I mean, if I were to do that at my job, I would be canned and they would be like, nope, you're gone. So I think he was very wrong and just made himself look worse.
People keep telling me on social media, on Facebook and Twitter, that it's different because he's a football player. He doesn't have a job like yours. He's a football player. Well, to me, I look at that and I'm thinking, he's making all of this money, and let's remove the football player part of this scenario. Let's just say he's making millions of dollars. To me, I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, if I'm working a minimum wage job that I can get anywhere, then I may stiff the boss and say, "Oh, screw you! This is a bad report or whatever," and not go to the drug test. But if millions of dollars are on the line, that's a job that I would put a value on, a higher value, obviously. There's a monetary value associated with that. So to me, him being a football player doesn't mean that he should somehow get away with it. To me, that means it's almost more important to take this drug test and secure this job because there's so much money on the line. Just financially, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. And I think he's just making himself look bad and digging himself deeper and deeper by not taking the test. But if he finally agrees to it, then I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, he has agreed to do it, but it's just did it have to go on this long? It's just such a weird situation. Do you think his teammates are really behind him? They all say that they are, but do you think that they really are? I know in my workplace, people may, say something to your face, or they may say something to the public that is the appropriate thing to say, but behind closed doors, they're elbowing the guy next to him, saying, "Hey, this guy's a jackass. He's, going to screw us all over." Do you think that's kind of going on behind the scenes at the Steelers locker room?
I don't know. I think it can go either way. Like I said, I don't know any of them personally, but I think some of them are on his side. I think some of them, like you said, are talking about him behind his back. But that's the way it is in every job. Some people are for you, some people are against you. Yeah,
it's a really unique situation. Real quick before we wrap up, I do want to talk more about what you do. And you've actually, are you down with football and high heels? Are you on the sidelines? Do you get, how do you, I know you do interviews with different players and things like that. You go in depth. How does that all work out?
Basically what I do is I'm not at any games or anything yet, and I'm slowly getting interviews with people. But basically, I just report on what's going on. And right now, on Football and High Heels Presents, which you can see on YouTube, I just did a whole series on the Olympics where I had experts and panelists talk to me about what was going on. And I'm going to continue that throughout the football season and for every sport. And I'm hoping to get more interviews with players and more into the games and stuff. That way I can learn more about it and report on it live.
What has the reception been for the blog and now the YouTube videos?
It's been pretty good. Like I said, the YouTube show's only been around for about a month, so that's pretty slow starting, but slowly but surely we're getting an audience. So I have more than 5 people watching, so I'm kind of happy about that.
Do you have any idea on who's watching? Is it mostly women watching who maybe are new to the game like yourself, or do you get a lot of men watching who are interested to hear your take on a situation, being that you come from a different perspective? I'll be honest, I have a feeling, just knowing most football fans, you're probably getting more of the women because so many guys, they just want to hear that same old garbage that's recycled over and over and over again on talk radio or in the print. Am I right in thinking that?
It's a good mix. I mean,
Is
you're
it?
partially right. I got a lot of women watching, and I get a lot of men watching too. Like I said, we haven't done a football show yet. We've only done the Olympics because we were covering that. But we are starting a football series starting next week. I have actually two different female football fans coming on, actually, and we're going to be discussing the game. We're going to be discussing the preseason and our predictions on who we think is going to make it all the way to Super Bowl this year based on preseason. And then I'm going to have other experts and fans come on and discuss it throughout the season as well.
Very cool. So where can people find you? I know footballandhighheels.com, but where else can people find you? What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter is football high heels. It's high is spelled H-I, like saying hi, because football high heels was already taken. And then Instagram is football and high heels, just like the website. And YouTube is football in high heels. But the way YouTube is set up, you have to type in football and high heels presents. So you can find me on there as well. And I'm also on Facebook, football and high heels.
What's your next step in the business? What's up next for you? What's the next big story?
I'm just covering the preseason for football because we just wrapped up our Olympic series. So now we're just going full throttle straight into football. And, of course, since I consider dance a sport, we're going to be covering Dancing with the Stars as well.
Very cool. I'm excited to read it. Thank you so much, Sammi.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's Sammi Turano and Brian Crawford. You're listening to the Rivers Edge Radio Network. All right. Thank you very much to Sammi. I got a Facebook message from Andrew, specifically to me, saying it's a kind of like one of those things like a bullet point. It says, bullet point 1, fan of Pittsburgh Steelers. 2, hopes that a key starter gets suspended. 3, find a different team. Well, I'm not a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Andrew. I really don't care for the NFL in general. The rampant crime spree, if you're a listener to the show, you would know the rampant crime spree that is the NFL has certainly soured my interest in the sport. People talk about Michael Vick, but I've been hard on the NFL much longer than that. If you Google, I'm trying to think what it is. There's a website out there out in San Diego, I believe. They actually list an entire database of crimes committed by NHL players in the 2000s alone, many of which are violent crimes. So I'm not a fan of the Steelers. I mean, I want them to win if they're against someone else just because they're from Pittsburgh, but beyond that, I really don't give a rat's ass about the Steelers, about the NFL, or any of that. I care more and I'm interested more in the impact that sports has on our society and the impact that the Steelers have here in the city of Pittsburgh, which has diminished, by the way. It really has. I would say greatly. As a kid, I remember living out in Westmoreland County, it would be Steelers season, and that's all you heard about. It was all throughout Giant Eagle, all over. Not anymore. Not so much. It's definitely taken a back seat from what it used to be. Let's get on to our holiday of the day. We like to end the day on a celebratory note, so let's go into the holiday of the day. Look at this beautiful face. Oh, nice, clean-shaven. Kind of sexy, if you don't mind me saying. Yes, I do turn myself on. Today, speaking of awesome, clean-shaven, beautiful looks, today is Men's Grooming Day. Today is National Men's Grooming Day. Maybe we could go to Lawrenceville and teach some of the hipsters how to shave. But today is National Men's Grooming Day, so if you are a fan of the clean-shaven look, or if you have a tasteful beard, then you should celebrate your awesomeness today. You can do it. What else do we have going on? Oh, tonight I'm going to be at Spirit, by the way, for Gnash Teeth, their release party, their CD release party. You should join me there. It starts at, I believe, 9 o'clock. If you go in wearing a mask, you can get some cool special perks. If you get there early and wear a mask, you can get a poster. So definitely check that out. Good stuff there. And I will be wearing my creepy horse mask. If you remember my interview from Hambones, you know the horse mask well. The horse mask is badass. I'm a big fan of the horse mask. The creepy horse mask is awesome. And I know somebody who's a furry, and they had the big furry convention, and I thought, you know what, I should go down to the furry convention and see what's going on. I'm not a furry, but I thought it was interesting. So I went down there, and I decided to wear my creepy horse mask. And I felt bad because all of these people are wearing these really elaborate, very elaborate costumes. I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. But everybody wanted their picture with me because they may have sensed my stardom beyond the mask. Some say it's the creepy horse mask. People love the creepy horse mask. I think it's just people could feel my essence coming through the mask, and they wanted their picture with the big shot celebrity. So I don't blame them. Again, I'll be at Spirit tonight. I will be at Mr. Small's tomorrow for the show's final party, their big shindig, last performance of the show at Small's. Gotta check that out. It's going to be a good time. Tomorrow I'm in with Jay Cooper, 10 a.m. right here, riversedgepgh.com. Again, Brash Teeth tonight. I'm Brian Crawford. You're listening to Pittsburgh's Voice for Local Music, the Rivers Edge Radio Network. I'll catch you tomorrow.